Hey, welcome back, Phenomenons. This is Frank. Listen, in this video, we're going to be covering a couple things right over here. The first one is the two different ways you can start generating music and why you should be using one over the other. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about are the two different versions, right, that separate a free account versus an actual paid account and why that's important. Okay, now the last thing is really kind of the meat and potatoes of this video, and that's really understanding that there is a particular structure that you should be at least starting with, right? Kind of a template that I'm going to introduce you to really, again, set you in the position to have more control over the music you generate, okay? And that is going to be in your lyrics section. Now, as you see, right in here, as we go into Suno, right, we're going to start with the very first thing. The first thing is the two different options in generating music. So here you have simple, okay? You can go right here, and you can go right here. Forget about simple. Okay, if you're not using it, continue not to use it. If you're using custom, continue only using custom. Okay, this right here, custom, is a little bit lengthier, right? But again, it's going to give you more control over the music that you're going to generate. Okay, and that's where the actual structure and understanding of the structure comes into play. Okay, even if you're just creating an instrumental. All right, now. The first thing I want to talk about too is right here, it's going to show you obviously what's available to you when it comes to versions. Okay, if you're on a paid plan, well, you can access any of the versions in here, right? The latest one's going to be version 4.5 plus. Okay, now if you're on a free plan, what you can access is 3.5 max. Okay, now right up here, I've got a video that's popping up that'll show you the differences between 4.5 and 3.5 and why you should just simply upgrade, right? Just by actually listening to the quality of the actual lyrics and also the actual music, okay? Now, on a 3.5 plan, if I go right down here and let's say, for example, let me copy this real quick and let me delete it. Let's say I figured out my lyrics, okay? Whether I use the AI generator and all that good stuff or not, okay? All of this extra bells and whistles, we're not even going to touch them. I'm just going to kind of do a quick little overview and then get to the meat and potatoes, which is the structure. Okay. When I come down here to the style section, for example, and I don't have a prompt ready, I got to figure out, I got to either sit here and write out a prompt, or I got to use like ChatGPT, right? A third-party prompt generator, right? And all that good stuff to come up with the style. Okay. Now this is again on the free plan. Now, if I continue on here, right? I have a section that has exclude styles, the vocal gender, right? Then I have song title and then workspace. Okay. Very limited when it comes to making music. Okay. Now, when you listen to the two different variations in the actual video, well, you'll know why, right? Because under an actual paid plan and having access to 4.5, right? If we go up to the very top, the lyrics again, let's say you had the lyrics already set. And then right here, when it comes to the style, what do you want your actual song to sound like? Okay. If I didn't, for example, know or didn't have a prompt for my music style, but yet I knew that I wanted to I want it to sound orchestra. Okay. Kind of have an orchestra vibe, right? All you got to do is just type in one simple word, then hit the magic wand. I call it the magic wand, right? And then you're going to get more of a prompt. Okay. Not the perfect prompt, but it's a good starting point. It allows you to kind of go in here first off and identify and understand the structure, okay, so that when you're creating prompts, you know what it takes to create a pretty good, decent prompt. In addition to that, you can edit it, right? You can edit it and make it your own, okay? Now, again, like I said, this is a really good starting point, and this is only available in a paid plan. So let me go back and just put my original one on there, and I'll tell you why here in a little bit, okay? And then down here, what's also available in a paid plan versus not in a paid plan that gives you, again, more control over the music you generate are going to be these sliders. You have a weirdness slider and you also have a style influence slider. Okay, let's talk about the weirdness slider real quick. Based off of my own personal kind of experience, I find that if your song has lyrics, I don't personally maximize it over 35% when it comes to weirdness. Okay. Now, when it comes to instrumental, there are some different music categories that you can actually up this, okay, like mystical, for example. There's other ones, right? The dreamy kind of a different dreamy pop and all of that stuff. Indie pop too. You can kind of maybe kind of play around with it, okay? Now, with Halloween just around the corner, yeah, you may be able to kind of go this way, and you get some warnings here, right? It kind of just changes in color and it says chaos mode, okay? But for this example, we're going to just dial it all the way down to 0. Now, when it comes to style influence, this is where this section here talks to this section. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we know that Suno has put a lot of thought into this, right? And what this means here is basically it's saying, okay, what style of influence percent do you want taken from here? Okay. And so based off of that prompt, let's say it was the perfect prompt, I can maybe up it to like 85, 90%, 100%. Okay. For this example, we're just going to keep it right here at 90%. Okay. And that's basically it. Pretty simple. Make sure we change the, we have the vocal gender set to female. And right here, we can go in and again, exclude styles. Maybe we don't want a duet. Maybe we don't want piano. Maybe we don't want certain instruments or a certain genre. Okay. You can go ahead and enter it right in here. And then of course your song title and then your workspace. Your workspace is just creating a work folder, right? So you don't kind of merge or kind of have too much congestion, right? Too much distraction happening here. You start with the clean slate. Okay. Now, that's the really biggest difference, okay, between 3.5 and 4.5. Listen to the quality in the video that I mentioned earlier, and you'll really see the difference. Okay. Now, what I want to do is I want to kind of hone in on lyrics. Okay. Now, the lyrical structure is pretty simple. We're not actually going to create a whole full song. What I ended up doing here is I wanted to just break down what makes up the actual lyrical structure. Okay. You have brackets and you have parentheses. Okay. And then you have basically lyrics. So anything that is not inside brackets or anything that is really not inside like parentheses will just be picked up as lyrics. Okay. And the parentheses part, that's kind of a creative little extra. Okay. Now what parentheses can do, it can do a lot of different things. Okay. This is where the use of brackets and parentheses will make a good marriage. Okay. Now parentheses, what you'll probably hear in this example is you'll probably hear maybe kind of backup vocals be triggered. Or you may hear kind of a whisper or an echo. Okay. These are just some examples of what parentheses trigger. Again, it's based off of what you want it to do. What you want it to do, when you want it to do it, okay, and how you want it to show up, okay, is basically what defines brackets. So brackets is kind of just the FYI part of everything, right? Like, hey, FYI, this is verse 1, okay? So let's take a look at these two right here. These here are just a simple verse. And then verse number 2, what I did was I applied the brackets, the parentheses, and the lyrics, okay? So here in verse 1, right, if the music started, and with this being in actual brackets, what it's going to do is it's going to just start singing right here where it's meant to sing, okay? Having things in brackets means that it doesn't get sung, okay? And so this is kind of the FYI part that I was talking about, right? Now, the other part of the bracket is it allows you to be the music producer, right? It allows you to make music show up when you want it to, how you want it to, and where you want it to, okay? Even the when you want it to, right? So if we take a look at the music here and we compare this one here we have verse 2. In verse 2, what I want is I want to hear a piano play textured tune, okay? Again, I'm keeping it really, really simple, okay? So what I don't want you to think is that just because I want the piano to play here, that it's not going to play right when the song begins, right? Now, it wouldn't play at the beginning of the song if I used brackets and I told it not to play at the beginning of the song, right? No violins would play or show up if I didn't want it to show up until maybe the second chorus or the third chorus, right? And then maybe I wanted to put a little bit more emphasis on specific lyrics, right? Where I would then add brackets, repeating those exact same lyrics in parentheses, right? So what I'm going to do is I am just showing you these two here just for the purpose of understanding the actual structure. I made it really, really simple, and it's pretty just that simple, but yet very powerful, right? Once you start utilizing this, okay? So let's go ahead and just create, okay? And what it's going to do, it's going to create 2 variations of this project here so you can listen to. And so what I can expect is just a basic, a lyrical first verse. That's it, right? Or as opposed to here, right, you're going to have the piano play, either in the background, either it's just kind of light or what have you, but it's going to play because I was very vague, right? And then also you're going to have what I think is going to show up kind of like a reassurance, kind of a backup vocals. Okay, you'll kind of see. So here we go. Let's have a listen.
I drove down to the nearby burger joint to order a burger and some cheese. I drove up to the window and we ordered. I said a number 3 with a diet tea, please. The lady said, I'm gonna put that order in. Just drive on up to the window, please. I'll have your number 3 with the diet tea, and I'll make sure we add some cheese. Octar.
That end part, I think it was supposed to say structure. So I was utilizing this, for example, just to kind of show you the actual structure. But again, because it's not in brackets, right, it should call it out as an actual lyric, okay? And again, it's all in caps too. So I think that's where the emphasis was. All right, so what I want to do is I want to just go to the second one and kind of see if you, if it does a similar thing here. Let's have a listen.
I drove down to the nearby burger joint to order a burger and some cheese. I drove up to the window and ordered. I said a number 3 with the diet tea, please. The lady said, I'm gonna put that order in. Just drive on up to the window, please. I'll have your number 3 with the diet tea, and I'll make sure we add some cheese.
All right, so there you go. Okay, so rather consistent, right? And again, this is where you take this simple kind of a prompt, right, that you've generated, and now kind of just add more control by utilizing brackets and parentheses. And you can utilize, for example, these brackets for so many different things, right? You can have a solo being played. You can extend certain things. You can kind of go, you can loop different sounds and so on and so forth. There's just so much that you can do with this, but this is the basic structure. Start utilizing this and you'll just start realizing that you are indeed having more control over the music that you're generating. All right, well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you'll do me a favor, just do a simple, give me a simple like, leave a simple comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so the next time I come up with something new, you're the first to know about it. I'm Frank with The Phenomenon. Hey, I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.